Lagos is a no man's land. I thought that argument was part of the politics. You should not use the platform of the House of Assembly to play politics. That's not leadership. And this is what we say to public officials all the time. If you don't have something to say, can you just shut up?
All right, guys, they have started this tribalism in Lagos again after what happened in presidential election and governorship election in Lagos. Speaker of House of Assembly in Lagos has come out to make a new law saying that the laws of Lagos will be translated in Yoruba language. Is this not a plan to collect people's property in Lagos? This is what they are planning, and we know it will never work.
Speaker of the House of Assembly, Mudashiru Obasa, which will make laws in the areas of property and the economy to protect indigents of the state. On Tuesday, Obasa was unanimously re-elected as Speaker of the House after the proclamation of the state's 10th Assembly by the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, making the third consecutive time that Obasa will occupy the position. In his acceptance speech, the Speaker said Lagos is Yoruba land and that laws passed by the Assembly will now be translated to Yoruba language. Rufai, I know you've made some comments on this, just really quickly so we can move on.
In the thick of the Civil War, a certain young Igbo architect who happens to be the first PhD holder in architecture in Nigeria had a home close to Shubomi Balogun's home. And when the war started, the Igbos had to go back. And Shubomi Balogun saw that squatters were coming into the home of this architect. And he chased away the squatters and he renovated the home. And he put somebody in there and he was collecting rent from her and keeping it for the person. He could have taken over the property because as at that point in time there was a war and the Igbos were being denigrated. But he kept the home. After the war, this architect, PhD holder in architecture, came back and he met Shubomi Balogun and he said, "Oh, that's your house. I kept the house for you." And while he was going, he said, "Please, wait." Then he went in and brought wads of money out and said, "This was the rent I got." And he said, "Thank you." That architect later became the vice president of this country, Chief Alex Ekweme. And that good turn deserves another. When it was time for Chief Shubomi Balogun to also get his own banking license, that same man was instrumental in getting his banking license. That's the kind of story Lagos is. All of this happened in Lagos. This is the Lagos I know. The Lagos of Chief Shubomi Balogun and Alex Ekweme. That where they came from did not matter, but the love and the unity that binds us together.
That is the point. Today,
both men are dead, but their story is the true example of Lagos. This Mudashiru Obasa's Lagos that he's talking about here, I don't know it.
House of Assembly. Section 4, sub 7 of the 1999 Constitution says that the legislature, at the level of the House of Assembly, the same principle with regard to the National Assembly, shall make laws for peace, order, and good governance of Nigeria. The statement made by Speaker Mudashiru Obasa, I don't see how that promotes peace. I don't see how it promotes order. I don't see how it promotes good governance. And this is the whole point of Gbadebo Rosevival's statement that the House of Assembly of Lagos cannot be saying that. Two, it's provocative because you recall, as your narrative pointed out, that during the just concluded elections, ethnicity was such a big problem in Lagos State, resulting in conflict in parts of Lagos between indigenes and other persons of other ethnic extraction, to an extent that indigenes were even carrying rituals all over the place and threatening non-indigenes to leave Lagos. Now you can't have that. You can't have that, in a society. Now going further, why did Mudashiru Obasa consider it necessary to reopen that matter?
This is the point.
He had been chosen by his colleagues for a third term as Speaker. He should just thank them and talk like, somebody is interested in the in the national interest, in public interest, not to talk as a provincial person, dredging up antediluvian sentiments. Lagos belongs to Yorubas. Lagos is a no man's land. I thought that argument was part of the politics. You should not use the platform of the House of Assembly to play politics. That's not leadership. And this is what we say to public officials all the time. If you don't have something to say, something that will appeal to reasonable, right-thinking members of society, can you just shut up? Because vulnerability is not an asset in interacting with the public. And then the issues that you raise, those issues can in fact cause problem in Lagos State. I hope nobody goes ahead with that. Because the Constitution of Nigeria grants every Nigerian the right to own property.
Absolutely.
Section 43, movable and immovable in any part of Nigeria. The law is very specific. Section 44 says you can only affect those rights only as prescribed in this law. So you can't on your own just sit in the House of Assembly and say we are removing your property rights. Section 42 says you cannot be discriminated against in this country on the basis of your ethnicity, religion, or anything. Our law frowns at discrimination. The threat to reverse whatever is irreversible because you are not a Yoruba person or you are not from Lagos, that is discriminatory. Land Use Act, which vests, Section 1 of which vests ownership of land in the governor as a trustee, did not say if the governor of Lagos State is going to give out land, he should do so only to people of Lagos State or to only Yorubas. That Section 1 is very clear. It says on Nigerians in any part of Nigeria. So I'm surprised because I understand Mr. Obasa, is a lawyer, so maybe he's just playing to the gallery, but this kind of thing can cause conflict, can cause disorder.
Absolutely.
And all those provisions that we have read out, they are enforceable in law. Yeah. So why does he want to start his third term on a controversial note and on something that shows undue partisanship? Yes. That House of Assembly in Lagos State is for everybody in Lagos State. It's not for people. Where is that place you come from? You are from Central Lagos, right? Lagos Island. Olowo. Yeah, it's not only for people from Olowo alone or people from Iga.
Yes.
Iga, Idungoro, and all that. It's for all of us.
Absolutely.
From Central Lagos to Abule Egba and beyond. In fact, up to Alakuko.
Absolutely. Dr. Matias, you have quoted the Constitution. I was cracking up before I come to you. You're not the only one. People are even quoting the Constitution on Twitter. Let me take a tweet from Eric, who wrote, while the Lagos State House of Assembly, led by Obasa, has the power to make laws, such laws must be in line with the Constitution. The law will be declared unconstitutional before a court of competent jurisdiction as it violates relevant provisions of the Nigerian Constitution. Well, Sadiq wrote, they want to make tribal bigotry a law in Lagos. It will be against the Constitution and is another ploy to build a very tall fence between Yorubas and the people of any other tribe, instead of the Nigerian government to always preach and promote unity with intertribal marriages and more. They divide us more. I mean, this is what we are seeing here. I mean, I believe I even heard you earlier this morning, even praising the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with all of his speeches of unity and all of that. And we get to see this at this time of our polity. I mean, very unfortunate, really. Yes. Your comment.
Well, thank you, Dr. Batty, for ending on the note of where I'm from, because I'm proudly from Lagos State, yes, from Lagos Island.
You're true Lagosian. You're not like some people.
You mean you are an indigene?
You are an indigene. Tell them.
But then let's begin to define an indigene, because when we look at Lagos State, it's such a cosmopolitan city, and we've had people who've settled. In fact, some people would still challenge my indigenous, my being an indigene, saying that if you trace back to centuries ago, we came from Sierra Leone and then we settled. So at the end of the day, I understand when people are a bit, to take offense with Lagos's no man's land, but then aside from the legal aspect, which Dr. Bati has just dealt excellently with, as always, is the fact that how do you begin to define who is an indigene? How do you begin to, is it for how many years? How do you begin to separate people? Maybe, I mean, my mom is from Edo State. So would you say that I'm half an indigene, so I don't have as much access? Then is it just for Lagosians or for people from the western part of Nigeria? Because if you look in the house, you would see that it's spread across different people who've come into Lagos to settle. And then very importantly, like people have said, is the fact that we are on the path to healing and restoration. What we saw or witnessed in Lagos during the March elections is what we should never see again, is what politicians should never play to again. What we should be looking at is how to bring people together. One of the things about Lagos State as a center of excellence is the fact that people from around the world can come here and thrive and excel, and they contribute to the prosperity of Lagos State. Yes, Lagos is a no man's land, but the excellence and who built Lagos is not just indigenes. The people who've come around from around different parts of Nigeria have come in and they've invested in Lagos State to make it what it is. We must be truthful about that.
All right.